there to our 162 subscribers, our future subscribers, and all the people that secretly watch us without subscribing. The plan is to make 2 videos today. We'll see how that goes. This one is about the writing process and how different people can have different processes. People ask me, how do you start writing? And it just depends on the person. It depends on their personality. It depends on just who they are in general and how they like doing things. And so that I decided to talk about my husband's writing versus my writing and the differences. And really, there's differences in mine depending on what I'm doing. And I did bring out some of our books, not all of them, but some of them, just to give you guys an idea. So first, I'm going to show you. This is my husband's first book that he published. It is right around 600 pages, somewhere in there, almost 600 pages. And writing this book, and then he's also got, this was his second one. It's a very short book, very short compared, okay? So there's a big difference between the process of writing them. So anyway, the first one, well, first of all, so either one, you have to start with an idea. And so the first one was just an idea that he had himself. The smaller one was an idea. He wanted to write a story about somebody's life. And so when the story was about somebody's life, he sat down with them and listened to them tell their story, and then he reworded it to make it into a story for them. But when he's writing, he starts off by visualizing a scene, including the characters. And as he's visualizing the scene, he thinks of character names, and then he thinks of other people he knows that would fit into those characters. And he says he likes to put multiple people together into those roles, which I didn't actually know that till today. But that's how he comes up with it. And so he visualizes the scene. And then he does something that I wish I could do, but I can't. He just sits down and starts writing until the scene is complete. And when he runs across a spot where he needs another character, he just comes up with them on the spot and thinks of somebody that would be good to fit that spot. Once he's finished with the story, he rewrites it twice to fill out all the little spaces and add little details and make some changes. And then he hires somebody to draw the covers. And then this leads us to how we met. We met because he wanted me to edit his first book. So the editing process for his books. So he sent me the book, the big one, of course, he sent me in pieces because it's a long book. And so, there's the basic editing, the capitalization, punctuation, and spelling, which you get if you hire anybody to edit a book. But I can't stop there because I have to make sure it's as perfect as I can possibly make it. And so in doing that, we bounce ideas off each other. I read through it as I'm going through retyping it because he had it written by hand. And so we bounce ideas off each other. I tell him my thoughts, he tells me his thoughts, and we just kind of go back and forth with it. If there's facts in it, which there's quite a bit, where he's like, the first book takes place in Sacramento for the most part. And so he'll be like, oh, turn down this road, turn down that road, there's this building and that. And so in the process of editing, I learned a lot about Sacramento. Got on Google Maps, researched to make sure how far down the roads he had to go, and made sure all the facts and all the details were accurate. And I do this because it's not that his details were all inaccurate. I just wanted to verify them and make sure, because you never know. Sometimes But you forget things or do things just like a little off, or might say left instead of right or whatever. And I don't want him going down the road many years later and somebody going, oh, that's not right. So, I had to do that. And that was more for my own preference. I checked for consistency, making sure that, hey, if somebody's eyes are light blue, they stay light blue through the whole book, and just make sure all the details match. And so, as compulsive as I am, I made charts. I wrote down all their names, all the details about them, and made sure it stayed the same throughout the whole thing. And then we continued bouncing ideas off each other throughout the entire process, adding details, and filling things in as we go. And so that's how his books go. Now, my books, first I'll start with my very first book. This one is a self-help book, and it's called Adrift of Pawns. So I came up first with the basic idea. And the basic idea was, as I put on the back of the book, what's important enough to consume your future? What things do you want? Not all this is in the back, but that main part, that was what's in the back. And then it says, and then just what I'm saying now. The main idea is to decide what you want to fill your life with, what you want to fill your mind with, what do you want to control who you are and who you become, and like what kind of person you want people to see you as, that kind of thing. How to interact with people, how to get along with people. And the reason I made this book was because I had a lot of people around me asking me for advice, asking me questions all the time. And I don't mind answering all those questions, I really don't. But I was like, what if I put them into a book and made it where everybody can access that information? Oh, thank you. The refrigerator shut off. Not off, but the motor quit running. Anyway, I'm rambling. So the idea was to write this book and answer the questions that were the most common ones that people asked me about. And also keeping in mind, I was around a lot of people at the time that struggled with reading. And so I kept it very short, very, very simple, easy to read, so that as many people as possible could benefit from it. There are topics in it about love, about lying, about children and teaching them and how to treat them, relationships and stuff about yourself. And then in the writing of it, basically I just let my feelings take over and just started writing on each of those topics until I was happy and content with it. And of course I went back and rewrote it a million times, because that's what I do. The photo on the front is a picture I took on the Oregon coast when I was out on a boat. And so that's how I got that cover. The next book I want to talk about is how I did this one. This is Enigmas of Oslage, and it was a book I wrote for kids my son's age. Now, at the time, my son was in middle school, so that's the age target for this book. And so what I did to come up with the idea for this book is I thought about what it was that was interesting to me at that age. And exploring was interesting to me. The idea of superpowers or whatever was interesting to me. Maybe not superpowers, depends on how you look at it. I guess kind of superpowers. Anyway, so that's kind of things that was interesting to me at the time when I was that age. And I continued, and I made sure to write it as if I was writing it for my son, because that was the age he was. The character creation was a little extensive because I get carried away with things. So I went to Google Images and I typed in the name that I wanted to use and the age, and it gave me a bunch of pictures, and I would pick one that kind of fit what I wanted. That's how I came up with what the characters looked like, which I didn't use the pictures in the book. Those were just pictures for me to reference to. I printed those out. I made photo albums, and I actually printed out 2 pictures of each because I had photo albums that I could take with me when I was traveling and writing. And then I also made family trees on poster boards and covered my walls because I believe it was Stephen King that suggested that. And honestly, that was very helpful, so that I had this one wall that was just nothing but poster boards of family trees, photo albums, that kind of thing. And it made it easier. And then, of course, I didn't stop there. I had to design buildings, and I had to design the town, and I had to design, lay out the surrounding woods around this little town in the, and so I actually had a lot of fun with that because I like designing buildings. And as far as artwork in the book, it's pretty bad. Not horrible, but not good. I used Windows Paint, which is, I don't know what I was thinking. It was not simple to do, but I drew pictures with Windows Paint, and I'm not a very good artist anyway, so doing it with paint was even more difficult. And so there's a picture for every chapter, not at the beginning, just in the chapter. And then I did research on caves. I did research on bats. I do like to do research to make sure I can get some accurate details on things. And then, of course, once I had everything all lined up, laid out, I, wrote it. This book was actually, it depends on how you look at it. It's 7 chapters or 7 stories. It's like 7 short stories that kind of go together, basically, so some people might see it as 7 chapters. It just depends on how you look at it. And so I got that all lined up how I wanted them, and then I started writing, and then rewrote over and over and over. And then I hired my oldest daughter Jocelyn, to do the cover. What I did is I sent her, without her knowing really much of anything about the book, I sent her a portion, like a section of the book, and describing a scene, and then she drew the picture. I described each of the characters to her individually, so she'd know who was all in the scene, but I'd sent her that, so she designed the cover based on a scene in the book. And then there is this one. This is Journal Simplified. It's a very thick book, but don't worry, it's not a lot of reading. This is more about writing. My son was in middle school, and high school, I don't even remember, because he was in middle school and high school. I think it was mostly high school. He wanted to do homeschooling. I think it was high school. He wanted to do homeschooling, and he was having trouble coming up with journal topics because he had to do it every day. And so I decided to make this book. And the book has 16 categories. There's 20 prompts in each category. So that's 320 prompts, which is more than enough for a school year. And so it was designed basically for school. Anybody can use it, but it was designed for school. And I designed it with, so there's the index that tells you what each of the topics are and the page numbers. Then it's got logs, so you can write down whatever page you want to do and the date. So that's the whole point about the school thing. You put the date and then you write down which page you want to work on. And that way, school can pick whatever topic they're interested in. They write down, do their journal, and then they just come over here and they fill it out. And I just thought that would make it a lot easier for kids in school. I don't know if it would be allowed directly in school, but I'm pretty sure it'd be great for homeschooling. And on the front, I did a whole bunch of personal photos because it is a journal, and I thought personal photos make more sense because you're talking about your life in a lot of it. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Talking about your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas. The next book I want to talk about is Beyond the Melody. This one's an adult book. It's erotic fantasy. Basic idea. So what happened was I asked my daughters, they were adults at the time, I asked them what I should write next. And I gave them some ideas. They kind of agreed on a similar idea. But my oldest daughter told me to step out of my comfort zone. So I went as far out of my comfort zone as I could and took a regular story and turned it into an adult story. And the character creation, it was 4 main characters. And so I created these 4 main characters first. And then I created all these other people that they could potentially meet. And so I kind of did the same thing as I did with the kids book, where I got on Google, typed in names, picked out people that looked how I wanted them to look, and printed out the pictures so I would have them. And I didn't do the whole poster board thing because I didn't need all the family trees and all that. It was individual people for the most part. And so that's how that character creation went. I did do a little bit of creating like personalities and stuff like that. And again, designing, I had to design a town, design a house, some boats, planes, islands, other buildings. I did research. The research took forever. I researched boats. I researched boating, lava flow, missing planes and boats. I did research on Atlantis because Atlantis kind of gave me the idea about where I wanted the story to kind of go in a way. And of course, again, write, rewrite some more. And then I procrastinated because I kind of hesitated publishing the book. But people kept telling me that I needed to. They really wanted me to. And the cover I struggled with. So I wanted something that could go on a shelf that you have to worry about little kids seeing. And so basically, it's kind of hard to tell, I guess, unless you really know, but this is the back of the 2 girls, their heads, their hair or whatever, and just kind of a foggy image of going towards an island. So next is, there's a whole bunch of different things here. So I discovered at one point about low content books. And what low content books mean is those are books that are more for writing in and don't have a whole lot of writing on my part. Some of them do, some don't. And so I did several journals, planners, guest books, coloring books, baby books. So I will just kind of give you an idea. So this is my current logo. My husband updated my logo for me from my original. Let's see if I can show you my original logo. My original logo. Well, I don't know if you guys can see the original logo at the bottom that my son and I created together. But my husband redid the logo for me. I told him what I wanted. So that's the logo for my publishing. And this is just a journal with a whole bunch of pictures of the logo at the top. This one does cost a little bit more than the others because the images on the inside are color, and the publisher or the printer costs more to do in color. I did a few other journals. They're the same way. There's railroad tracks, waterfall, and a pug. And each one has some sort of little design at the top. There's footprints for the pug. There's waterfalls for the waterfall one. And the railroad track, I just duplicated the tracks onto the top. And those are just basic journals. But so the pug one like that, I created planners and guest books that match these 3. So for an example, this is the one I have on me at the moment. This is the pug one. And so it's a 1-year planner, and there's no specific date, so you can use it whatever year you choose to. and just fill it out. I also did coloring books. These images that are in here, I did not draw them. They were images that I paid for. And there's an image, one per piece of paper. So if you want to color one and send it to somebody, you can do that. You don't have to worry about sending them more than one. And so each one, so there's Aries female, Aries male, and it just goes through the whole zodiac like that, male and female for each one. And like I said, each one is on a separate sheet of paper, so you don't have like back to back. So if you wanted to put something in between the pages and use ink, you could probably do that too. I'm not sure what kind of inks you can use on that paper, but there's blank pages in the back, a couple of them that you could use to test out the ink on. The baby books, I had the whole set here. I only have one left, but they come in, there's 2 different kangaroo styles, 2 different koala styles, 2 different red panda styles, and 2 different elephant styles. And basically I took everything I've ever seen in a baby book that I liked, and everything I wanted in baby books that weren't in them, and made them. Made them so that they could be used in here, right? So, like, there's a lot of pages in here, way more. I can't really go over the whole thing right now because that would take forever. But there is a lot in here, and there's space in here for you to write. There's space for your family and your friends to write if they want to say anything to the babies, and for when they're older. And yeah, there's my logo on the back again. But that comes in several different designs. And the last type I want to talk about is what I'm working on right now. So I don't have anything to show you at the moment. I am currently working on some short stories, and they're some of them are glitches in the matrix, some of them maybe not glitches. You'll just have to read them to find out exactly. But they are short stories, and it's a total of 21 stories that's spread out in 3 books. So there's 7 stories in each book, 7 chapters in each one. Don't judge me. I don't know why I did that. That's just how I ended up doing it. It's nowhere near ready to be published yet, but I do have a lot done on it. But my compulsiveness, it's taking me a little longer than I had planned on. So anyway, there's over 70 main characters throughout these 21 stories, and I created them I started with the zodiac. I asked the AI, I said, for each zodiac, give me a list of names that would be common for that zodiac sign. And then I picked out the ones I liked. I chose the characters that I needed for the stories, and I picked out the personalities that I wanted, the jobs that I wanted them to have. And I went and found photos, this time I did a little different. Instead of Google, I went to AI and I said, imagine, a female that's this zodiac sign with this name and this age, and this is what she's interested in. Show me what she looks like. And I did that until I liked the picture for each one of them. Over 70 characters. Yes, I'm a little crazy sometimes, but that's what I did. And then on top of that, I took all those characters, and for each character in the story, I am taking 2 people that I know in real life and combining them to create the characters. And then for the artwork in it, so there's going to be 1 image for each story. So on the cover of the book, there's going to be a total of 7 images that show what stories are in the book. And each of those pictures will also be in the book, but it will be in black and white so that the printer doesn't charge a lot more money for the same thing. I did do some researching by watching a lot of real glitch stories so I could add realistic details to my stories. And yeah, so that's what's coming up. And so as you can see, there's different ways of writing. It just depends on the person. You could be like my husband and just start writing, because that is just a miracle, and I wish I could do that, but I can't do that. I have to plan out every detail and it takes me a lot longer to write. I mean, he can write a story in a very short time where I need a lot of time. And so anyway, I'm going to be back in a few minutes to discuss the math behind some of this stuff, because I'm in school right now and taking music production, and I just had to take a math class last month, and somebody asked me to make a video about the math that I have to do in my projects. And so I will be discussing that in a moment and go into a little more detail on cover creation and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, come back to my next video and check it out. So, oh, also I'm going to be doing an interview with my husband coming up soon, I hope, talking about his books and his music and everything else. So anyway, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this video. Please get your friends to do the same thing, and I will be back soon. Bye.